Okay, next up is Death at a Funeral, and this is actually a remake of a movie that only came out a couple years ago. It was a British film with a pretty good cast, a very talented cast, about a funeral where everything that can possibly go wrong does go wrong, and more. Now this is of course featuring a great ensemble of African-American actors, including comedian Chris Rock and Martin Lawrence leading the way, but also a very talented crew of supporting crews such as Tracy Morgan, Luke Wilson, who's, I know he's not black, but he's in it anyway, Zoe Saldana, fresh off of Avatar, and of course Tracy Morgan, brilliant, another 30 Rock alum, Danny Glover, and James Marsden, and many others to really just cap off this great film, including Ron Glass, former star of one of my favorite TV shows, Barney Miller. Now, of course, the film starts out, of course, the character of Chris Rock, he's an unappreciated, aspiring, or not aspiring, depending on, you know, your view of it, writer, who's generally a good person, but just frustrated that everything's been falling in his lap while his irresponsible brother, played by Martin Lawrence, doesn't seem to be helping much at all and is just too consumed with his celebrity, and so is everyone else. And this makes Chris Rock's character feel, you know, pretty bitter about it. And that's pretty much the concept of the British film as well. Now, of course, things are wrong from the get-go when they have the wrong body. And it just sets off a series of events from there. Now, Chris Rock does something in this film that he doesn't do in very many other films. He's doing his comedic element, but playing it straight. He's not over the top at all in this film. He still cracks jokes, but does it in a subtle manner. He does it when he's angry. Sometimes I do that when I'm angry, too. I can crack just like the simplest pop culture reference. For example, in one scene where Chris Rock asks about certain drugs, if you've seen the original, you know what I'm talking about. He says, "What are you doing with drugs?" And the guy says, "Well, I'm just, it's something I picked up for a friend." And Chris Rock's like, "Who's your friend, Amy Winehouse?" And says it very frustratingly. I do stuff like that too. I say, you know, "Oh, she's avoiding me like a health-conscious person would avoid Tila Tequila." So, logically, it just makes sense. Sometimes we just use jokes to try to brighten up our own mentality. And that's what I love about Chris Rock in this film here. He really showed a new element of himself, just not being constantly sarcastic for the sake of being sarcastic. He's pissed off, and he's trying to do whatever he can to, get through it. And also another thing I like too is Martin Lawrence. He's sometimes over the top, but that works for him, I guess. To me, I kind of worry about his future because he just seems to be relying on the same shtick over and over for many years. And don't get me wrong, it's a very entertaining shtick. Martin Lawrence has been in some fantastic comedies, including one of my personal favorites, Blue Streak. And again, when he's in it with Luke Wilson, who's in this film. And the thing about him I like is that even though he has the same shtick, he still finds ways to, seem like he's having fun in these films doing it. And him and Rock are very good together. People have always wondered what would happen if they did a movie together, and here it is. And it's not a disappointment. Now, this is a very funny film for the fact that yes, there is, grotesque humor here, but they're not doing it for the sake of being grotesque. Not like Tom Green. They're doing it because they don't know. It's funny because they don't know it's grotesque. They don't know what's going to happen. I hate these films that just deliberately try to be like that. Like, one of the dreadful films of that aspect, including Tom Green's Freddy Got Fingered, was, what's it called, Tomcats, years ago with Jake Busey and Jerry O'Connell, and just a dreadful, dreadful film that was. But yet here, all the characters seem to be not knowing they're in these situations, and it's just a chain of events after another. Now, the mysterious stranger, as you've all seen in the trailer, is played by Peter Dinklage. He's actually the only one from the British film to be reprising his role, and he is also very good here in his actions as well. I think he's a very talented actor as well. I just saw him recently in St. John of Las Vegas, which, another decent film, I guess you could say. The film with Steve Buscemi I talked about a couple weeks ago. He's an actor that is on a roll, in my opinion, and again, even at 40 years old, still has a bright future. Now, in my opinion, everybody's good here. Even Luke Wilson as the snobby ex-boyfriend of Zoe Saldana's character. But the scene stealers in this film belong to Danny Glover and James Marsden. Now, Danny Glover is the cranky Uncle Russell, and he is just utterly hilarious every time he opens his mouth or does anything. It's good to see him back on screen. It's been quite a while since I've seen him in a movie. I think Be Kind or Wine was the last time. It's been a few years. And he is just a great talent. He always has been. And I love how he just plays it straight in these comedies, but can always say the right thing. That's what Danny Glover's specialty always was in the Lethal Weapon films. Even in a smaller film like Pure Luck with Martin Short, he just knows the right thing to say. His character is always written that way. James Marsden is, of course, reprising Alan Tudyk's role from the original. playing the drugged out boyfriend who doesn't know he's on drugs. And he just does it so well. I was actually surprised how well he did it. I laughed every time he just did anything. And to do that and pull it off and make it funny without being looked at as stupid is an accomplishment in itself. And again, he was fantastic here. Now, also I got to give credit also to others like Luke Wilson, who's very good here, and Tracy Morgan, who I ripped on pretty hard for his last film, Cop Out. In my opinion, this is the type of film Tracy Morgan should do. Be a supporting role, play your dues for a while, and then maybe you'll be ready for the lead role. Again, he's great on 30 Rock. He's been good in other stuff, but here he actually has this element of comedic timing. And again, I was really happy to see Ron Glass in this film. Again, one of the stars of the former hit TV show in the 70s, Barney Miller. And he's been good in other little roles in films in the past, but here he's really well within his element as the snobby, uptight father of Zoe Saldana's character. And she herself, she's beautiful, she's engaging, and she really fits well into this film too. Now, the thing I liked about Death at a Funeral too is that all these actors are not trying to one-up each other. It seems like whenever you stick a movie with a great cast, they try to it seems like they're always trying to outdo the other, and it doesn't mesh well. But here, they're comfortable with each other because I think a lot of them are friends in reality. And that's what makes this work so well. Death at a Funeral is very funny, one of the funniest films I've seen this year, and I give it 4 stars out of 5.